The spear has become one of the most devastating finishing moves in professional wrestling history, a move so brutal and explosive that when done right, it can leave an opponent completely unconscious and a crowd absolutely erupted in pure chaos. Two names stand above the rest when discussing who delivers this iconic maneuver with the most impact, the most precision, and the most raw power, and those names are Roman Reigns and Bron Breakker. If you stick around till the end, you'll see exactly why this debate is tearing the wrestling community apart, and if you enjoy breaking down wrestling's biggest questions, hit that subscribe button because we're just getting started. Roman Reigns has been the face of WWE for over a decade now, holding championship titles longer than most wrestlers even dream of, and his spear has been the weapon that has kept him at the top of the mountain for all these years. When Roman charges across that ring, there's a calculated brutality to his movement, like a freight train that is locked onto its target and refuses to deviate from its destructive path. His spear isn't just about the collision, it's about the setup, the psychological warfare that comes before it, the way he positions himself in the corner, cocks his fist, and lets out the primal roar that tells everyone in the arena that someone is about to get destroyed. The impact of Roman's spear comes from his football background, where he played defensive tackle at Georgia Tech, learning how to use his body as a weapon, how to drive through an opponent rather than just into them. When he connects, you can see his shoulder dig deep into the midsection of his opponent, folding them in half like they've been hit by a vehicle, and the follow-through is what separates his version from everyone else because he doesn't just stop at contact, he drives them into the mat with every ounce of strength in his body. The elevation he gets on some of his spears is absolutely insane, lifting grown men off their feet and planting them with such force that you can feel the ring shake through your television screen. Bron Breakker on the other hand brings a different kind of energy to the spear, a more explosive and athletic version that looks like it could legitimately end someone's career if they took it wrong. Bron is the son of Rick Steiner and the nephew of Scott Steiner, so wrestling is literally in his DNA, but his spear doesn't rely on legacy, it relies on pure athletic dominance that makes you forget about everyone who came before him. When Bron hits a spear, it's like watching a linebacker who got lost on his way to an NFL game and decided to take out his aggression on a professional wrestler instead. His speed is what makes his spear so terrifying because he can go from zero to absolute destruction in a split second, covering the distance of the ring faster than most people can even process what's happening. The force behind Bron's spear is amplified by his freakish strength and his ability to time his strikes perfectly, catching opponents mid-air, mid-move, or right when they think they've escaped danger. He's delivered spears that have sent opponents flying backward into the ropes, spears that have broken through barricades, and spears that have left veterans of the business lying motionless on the canvas wondering what kind of monster just ran through them. The real difference between these two spears comes down to style and purpose because Roman's spear is a finisher that tells a story, the culmination of a match where he's broken down his opponent mentally and physically, waiting for the perfect moment to strike when victory is guaranteed. Bron's spear on the other hand can come at any moment, in any situation, and it feels less like a finishing move and more like a natural disaster that just happens to take the form of a human being. Roman uses his spear as the final chapter in his domination, the exclamation point on a beatdown that's been building for 15 or 20 minutes, while Bron uses his spear as a statement of pure violence that says he can end this match whenever he wants and you're just lucky he's letting it continue. The technique is different too because Roman plants his feet and uses his core strength to drive through his opponent, creating the devastating compression that makes the move look so painful, while Bron relies more on momentum and explosion, turning his entire body into a projectile that happens to have arms wrapped around his target. Looking at their opponent's reactions tells you everything you need to know about the effectiveness of each spear because when someone takes a spear from Roman Reigns, they sell it like they've been hit by something that knocked the wind completely out of their body, clutching their ribs, gasping for air, unable to move for several seconds. When someone takes a spear from Bron Breakker, they look like they've been in a legitimate car accident, their bodies contorted in ways that make you wonder if they're actually okay, sometimes bouncing off the mat from the sheer force of the impact. The crowd reactions are equally telling because Roman's spear gets a roar of acknowledgement, a recognition that the match is probably over and the tribal chief has claimed another victory, while Bron's spear gets a collective gasp of shock, a reaction that says nobody expected something that violent to happen and everyone is trying to process what they just witnessed. Both men have incredible versions of this move, perfected through years of training and natural athletic ability, but the question of who has the better spear ultimately comes down to what you value more in a finishing move. Do you want the psychological build-up and the storytelling element that Roman brings, or do you want the raw explosive power and athletic showcase that Bron delivers? If you're asking which spear looks more devastating in the moment, Bron takes that crown without question, but if you're asking which spear has been more effective in winning championships and main event matches, Roman's track record speaks for itself. The debate will continue to rage on as long as both men keep using this move, and honestly, the wrestling world is better for having two completely different but equally destructive versions of the same maneuver. Don't forget to subscribe because we'll keep breaking down the biggest debates in wrestling and giving you the answers nobody else will.